David. Welcome to the waiting room.
Yeah.
Hello,
Hi,
guys.
Joe.
Hi.
It's nice to have you on.
Yeah.
How's it going, boss? How's things?
I'm fine. Just had a shower, so I'm gonna have my cigarette and
Nice and clean
Yeah,
for us.
be a drink. Yeah.
Nice and clean for us. This dirty conversation we're about to have.
Oh man.
By the way, I don't really know you guys. Can you tell me?
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah. We're gonna do this. I was just going to ask you, Joe, like, who do you know here? You said you only know Asmel and Fabian?
yeah. No, I think just Asmel.
Asmel.
I don't know the rest.
Oh, just
I don't
Asmel.
know you guys.
I can't
Oh,
believe he
all
don't, I
right.
can't believe he doesn't know Brendan. Fucking everybody. Brendan's friends with everybody
No,
on
nobody
Facebook.
knows Brendan. Like.
Every one of my
Nobody knows
Facebook.
Brendan.
Every time I get a Facebook suggestion on Facebook, I check who are they friends with. Invariably Brendan. Asmel,
No, that's a lie.
Asmel, my name's Derek Rush. I've been living here in Malaysia for 6 years. I'm a live and studio sound engineer. I've used to run and promote gigs back in Ireland for a long time. So but I married a nice Malay doll woman now. So I've been living here for 6 years. So
Wow,
and
awesome.
I've done sound for all three of these guys at one stage or another in the past. I used to be the in-house sound guy in No Black Tie for about 2 years.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm still working with them. You know, there's some plans to reopen it.
is there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's the first. You heard it here first in the waiting room. Yeah. No Black Tie. It's coming back.
So you're working with
Yeah, man.
So you're working with Evelyn then?
Yeah, I am. I'm an old friend of hers for a long time. So
Okay.
yeah.
From the old school.
Yeah, I understand.
everything. We all understand. So
Joe, I'm Brendan.
Yeah.
I'm a musician and a singer-songwriter, and that's kind of about it. That's about it.
Anak Errol
No.
De Cruz. If you remember Errol De Cruz.
Oh, okay. But of course, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you know my dad? Oh, man, I should have mentioned that. Cool.
No, because I used
Did
to work
you-
with the Sun and the Star, and I was working with, with those newspapers,
Oh.
and so of course, back in the day,
Okay,
long time ago.
cool. Nice to know that I'm his number two.
Right.
Nice to
hey,
meet you,
man.
Joe. Yeah. Hello.
Same here. Hello.
All right. So I'm Fabian, Joe. I am also a singer-songwriter, but mainly I am a sports writer with the NST.
Great.
Yep.
Did you play at Tandang recent?
Yes,
last
I
year?
did.
Oh,
Last
okay,
year.
okay.
Yeah.
Now I remember.
Tandang. Yep.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
No
Okay.
worries.
All right then.
Ah, there you go.
Carry on.
Icebreaker. All right, man. The
so
boys are curious to know about doing what? Fabian, you're mentioning, right?
Yeah, because Joe. So, because I'm also your Facebook friend and I'm following stuff, and I thought it'd be interesting to get you on the show to talk about the Rice Cooker Archives. About what you do, and you keep a record of all this music from the past, and you archive them and all this kind of things. So maybe you can talk to us about it, lah.
Okay. The thing is like now because of the current thing that's happening, I'm kind of like away from it for a while. But the Rice Cooker Archives started as a shop back in 2006, 2007. And the Rice Cooker Shop was called. It was based at Central Market, actually at the back, the annex. We
Okay.
had a great time
Yeah.
there for about, yeah. So that
Done.
the Rice Cooker Shop was where the idea was to have an outlet for independent bands from everywhere, especially around the region, to have an outlet to put out their stuff and everything. So that ran for quite a while, and then
parties, of course. Yeah.
what?
And
The
parties,
parties?
of course.
Yeah, I think that 3 or 4 years was fucking amazing, because
Yeah.
we shared this veranda, very nice balcony, and whenever there's anything happening, we just do it there, like a gig there, and across the aisle from ours is Babao Cafe. Remember that, Azman?
Yeah,
Babao
man.
Cafe. It was actually kind of like run by Hisham the Rice. and the footnote bombs of KL. So that's where they cook and so yeah, I mean, and then our immediate neighbor was a bunch of spray paint artists, and then further on you got the early Findas, where all the instrumental music start to kind of like coalesce together there. And upstairs we have these like rooms and rooms to do gigs and talks and whatever. So it's amazing. But anyway, about the Rascal Archive, I think probably maybe about 6-7 years ago, I got a grant to do, because there was this Japanese kind of like intellectual kind of like grouping who finance people who want to do research around this region. And I was invited a couple of times, but I didn't think it was my time yet. Until 2012 or 2013, where they said that I heard that it's going to be the last year because they're running out of money. So I applied and I got it. My premise was basically I'm going to write about the history of punk in Southeast Asia. So I got 1 year to travel, and I went to stay in Manila for 4 months. I was in Jakarta for 4 months, then in Tokyo. But during that travel, I was meeting up people, interviewing people, videoing a lot of these people, seeing a lot of bands, hanging out a lot, I realized that there's a lot of the releases from the 80s and even further down, you can't find them anymore. I mean, a lot of time people who are practitioners or who plays the music, who was involved in the scene, so many different scenes, they have lost all those artifacts. So when I came back, I thought, wow, I mean, I have to do something about this in a way, because I have always been kind of like collecting for a long time. I got quite substantial collection of my own, but then I got the shop, and I thought I closed the shop and turned it into an archive, basically. So I got my own stuff, and then slowly people like a lot of some punks getting old and they're getting religious, so they're gonna give away all their tapes and CDs or whatever.
They're getting religious.
Yes.
Purging.
Some of them not all. So the idea is for me to have, for the people or people who were like me researching, to have a place where they can go, like an info shop, that everything is there, right? So there'd be like, I collect whatever, newspaper cuttings, academic books about subculture, all of music cassettes. And that's one time I was in Jakarta when I came back one time. I have one whole luggage bag of cassettes, like just cassettes instead of one whole luggage bag. Yeah. So it's supposed to be running, but I got a lot of work to do, because I also need to earn money, and then I'm not keen on getting like funding from government or anything to do with the government, stuff like that. I come from a more anarcho-punk kind of viewpoint, so I'm not really like to have this kind of like logo on my archive, because I've been doing this for almost all my life. Suddenly somebody just give me like 20,000 and just put their logo on it. Fuck them, man. I mean, no fucking way.
Yeah. Fuck this.
Yeah, but because of that, it's pretty hard, because I have to spend my own money and things like that. Yeah. Unless you guys got money, like if you guys go
Don't look at the
lottery tomorrow, something
Don't
like
look at
that.
the white boy. Don't look at the white boy. Don't look at the white boy. The white boy is skint.
You're one of the very few broke white people in this
I am
country.
fucking. I'm a sound engineer.
It's good
so
to
we're all
know that you are
fucking
normal too.
Yeah. There's no oil and gas or bank money here. It does not exist.
You know what? There's this guy I met probably about probably about 5 years ago or 6 years ago. There's this guy. He kind of like flunked his school in England or something like this, and he got somehow he was lucky to get a job at the something like North Sea kind of petroleum platform kind of thing, like offshore. And he worked there for like 6 months, came here and became a fucking engineer in the East Coast. I mean, he's
Living a king life, man.
yeah.
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 Well,
Oh, man.
you never learn anything at school. I mean, you always learn stuff out in the real world. Like, so real world experience is way more important than fucking scholastic achievements. Far more.
Damn
important.
right,
yeah.
man, damn right.
You know the way I got my basically my first job, as a writer, as a journalist at the Star newspaper back in '88. I just brought my fanzines. I didn't bring my qualification.
So that
I
was
don't have
your
any
CV.
anyway. I mean, not me. My CV was 3 issues of my punk fanzine, and they just immediately said, "Yeah, come." So
Cool.
the next day, I just joined in.
Well, at least they were
Yeah,
open.
so that's how.
That was great. I was great that they were open to someone from the subculture, a very
Yeah.
derided subculture, like the punk.
I think
punk subculture
it's
is very
more.
derided.
I think it's because they saw that. Cause I did it myself, fanzine, right? So
Yeah.
you write on your own, you do your own layout and everything. So I think that's why mainly, and
Hold on,
also because
hold
of
on,
the music
Joe.
I was writing
I'm just
about.
wondering if Fabian and Brendan know what a fanzine is. You guys know what a fanzine is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I nearly started one in running career thanks to
They're not that young.
thanks
They're
to
not that
people
young.
like
they're
Choi
not
lah.
that
Choi is the one. Choi
Ah,
was the
Choi
one that
did
told
sound,
me,
yeah.
introduced me to zines, and then I was like, man, this would be a great idea. So maybe
Yeah.
it'll come out like again.
I remember
Yeah.
we were in the bus and we were heading up to Genting for Urbanscapes. And Choi was just passing around these zines and we were all just chilling in the bus and reading
Yeah.
zines on the way up to Genting.
Nice.
Scenes were the internet back in the day. That was our internet. It was just like fanzines. Were
Yeah.
just like that's how you got to know new bands. That's how you got to know where gigs were. That's how you got to know. And like if you couldn't afford to buy the magazines that were in the shops, free fanzines
Yeah.
at gigs is how the scenes, especially the alternative scene. And the alternative scene is where fanzines grew. Like that's where it started.
Where did you grow? I mean, where
I'm
you
Irish.
based?
I'm Irish, but I grew up right on the border with Northern Ireland I was born in '76, so like the early '80s, and I was growing up during literally the trouble. So like I lived just 10 miles from Derry, so like Undertones and stuff, Little Fingers, and all those bands are all.
Yes,
like
yes,
I was lucky
yes.
enough to get eventually end up doing sound for members of Stuff Little Fingers and all the early Belfast punk bands like the Defects and.
Wow,
and all-
awesome.
I eventually become really good friends with, and they would always hire me to do all the punk gigs, and it's still a huge scene in Northern Ireland. The old punks are still they're one of the most dedicated scenes still in Northern Ireland. You go to a gig and it's you're guaranteed 200 or 300. They're all in their 40s and 50s, but they are dedicated.
come, huh?
They're so friendly, so
But-
nice, and such fun.
Do you
gigs
have
to do.
the younger guys though?
You've-
Are there like younger people there?
Of course, the younger people, but
Okay.
the younger people they are there, but they're not.
Okay.
It seems to be that all our scenes that I've seen, like the two most dedicated scenes are like metal and punk, because they like for those two scenes, it's for life. All our scenes, it seems to be like hit or miss. It just kind of like they get older and people start making money, and then they start getting the fucking Dave Matthews Band or something like that. There, they start losing their souls. But punk and metalheads are punk and metalheads for life.
That's
Yeah,
true, that's true, that's true.
most. Unless you got religious and
That rarely happens in Ireland.
These people
anymore.
that you speak about, that
They escape religion in Ireland. They don't go back into it. Once they get out, that's it. They're free.
One way, yeah? One way.
That's one way is to get us out, and then they're gone. That's why they find punk and metal.
That's true. That's true. It's a
That's-
faith. It's a faith, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
That,
faith.
that becomes their religion. That becomes religion for them. Like they go from one religion to the religion they really wanted, which is punk and metal.
That's true.
But yeah,
That's true.
there's a good vibrant, or there always was a good vibrant punk and underground scene in Ireland, but Northern Ireland especially, and especially because of the Troubles, because they grew up with that.
Yeah.
We had essentially a civil
Yeah.
war going on, so it was a perfect environment for writing.
Yeah.
Writing
Yeah.
anti-government, authoritarian, anti whatever you want music. It was just 100% rebellion, like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Man. Hey, but when you were studying, Joe, what was the? I mean, like, the editorials would have been different. The kind of vibe in the papers at that time. How?
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely flipped now, right? When
I
you
was
were
just-
Or
starting
you
out.
mean the stuff that been written about
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
newspapers?
Yeah, I mean that's 88 is post, you
Okay,
know, post Ops
you know-
Lalang. Huh?
yeah. So basically, Ops Lalang, Operasi Lalang. I don't know whether you guys know about Operasi Lalang.
I
There were
I literally just read about it yesterday, 1987.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
So
read about it
that's-
yesterday.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Star was closed down, and when I joined in is when it's restarting again, basically.
Mm.
So yeah, so at that time, I think everybody's a bit, I mean, they're not. I have a lot of articles I was writing, which is not about music, but it's mainly about how some land has been taken over, somebody been living there for 30 years, sometimes they got kicked out and things like that. All those more kind of social related articles that I wrote was spike. I mean,
Yeah, of course.
spike means that it got kicked. Yeah. So
of
I-
course.
so that really disheartened me mainly, because I remember I decided to talk to one of the senior guys in the Star. We went to have coffee, and I asked him, "So you've been working here for 20 years, and tell me, what do you have? How do you feel?" And he said, "No one ever asked me that. I have a house, a car, 2 kids, wife." And then he can't really go on further. He just like, yeah. So and I kind of like start thinking, oh fuck this, man. I mean, I need to do something on my own, So I left. Yeah. But you must remember also that time is the post Lalang, what happened, during those days. So the newspapers are not that free to write whatever they want. So I mean, I kind of like realized this years later in a sense, because I was this young guy who want to go in and do my thing, and you can't, So yeah, it's different. Of course, it's different. But the best thing about it, because if I don't know, I mean, I come from Terengganu, which is like, it's very conservative, basically. You just have to live your own life. You have to leave the place. So I was like, when I joined the Star, it's like totally like a different world for me. I'm a Malay kid who just been living among Malay for a long time. Of course, I got like friends. I've been a bit a punk rocker in some way, so I got like kind of like Chinese girlfriend back when I was younger. But in my hometown, the only way that you kind of like interact with other races, the Chinese or the Indians, is by way of the counter at the shop. You're paying something, and it's yeah. So that's it. I mean that's because the Chinese in where I lived, they have their own village, because back in the I think it was 60s, 70s, they started to build these places called new villages where all the Chinese stay. And this is kind of separate them because of the communist problem back in the day and stuff like that. So that separated these races, even in small towns, So when I came down to KL and smack into this multicultural melting pot, which is the Star, it was crazy, man. It's just like, yeah, it's amazing. It changed totally, like, blew my mind, because I can't even speak English proper at that time. I can't write, because when you live in a small town, in a Malay small town, even when you go to the shop and buy an English newspaper, you've been laughed at. Like, people making fun of you. Oh, you know what I mean? There's no way you can speak with anybody.
Did you start your
then,
Did you start your fanzine in Terengganu?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Back then, yeah.
Was it in Malay or English, or was it bilingual?
It's a mix. Yeah, it's a mix. I think the first one's in English, I guess, but I can't remember now. That was 86, 87, somewhere around there.
That's really going back.
Classic, man.
That's really.
And
This is about the time I was a sperm.
oh, an idea.
Just an idea.
A dream.
You're free then, floating around.
Just
Wow.
Errol playing guitar one night, going like, I can't wait to go
Just-
home.
I can't wait till I go.
So,
Oh,
so
man.
Joe, which bands influenced you to start the fanzine? Who were the first bands?
Oh,
not even punk, but who were the first bands you got into?
The first record that I got to was Janis Joplin's the second album with Big Brother.
Nice.
What is it called? Yeah. That was because my uncle like introduced it to me, and it's an amazing album. You gotta listen to it. It's the second album from 1969. Big Brother
that the one
Holding
with-
Company.
Is that the one
The
with
Robert Crumb.
combination of the two?
Yes, the Robert Crumb cover.
Okay.
Yeah. Can't remember the title of it now, but that's really
So
amazing.
your uncle introduced the record to you.
Yeah, my uncle somehow, he's kind of this kind of like, how to say, weird guy.
He's a
I
cool
mean,
uncle, lah.
He's a cool uncle. I mean, but he was not living in my area in Dungun. He was up there near Kelantan. So
Oh.
he was, yeah. And he's one of those. I mean, in my family, there's none like him. He plays guitar. He do a lot of comics and he does sculpture and things like this.
Nice.
So
you're
he's
quite
the
lucky to have him
artistic
then.
guy.
Yeah.
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 And when he brought me that thing, and then a few years
Cheap-
later, I
uh,
found
cheap-
punk, and that's it.
Cheap Thrills, was it?
Yeah, Cheap Thrills.
Okay.
Yeah.
cool.
One of the best album. I mean, if you really listen to it, and then the best thing is like the cover is done by Robert Crumb,
Robert
and it's
Crumb,
very
yeah.
detailed. And Robert Crumb, like he's that really crazy guy, and it's all those like really, how to say, kind of like not really hippie, but kind of like how to say, more like what's that?
Bohemian.
I heard that. Yeah, of course, it's a mixture of that. But of course, the underground comics of the American life back in the 60s and 70s,
True.
and of course the LSD and I know the word, the yippies. You know the yippies?
Yeah.
Yippies. yeah.
It's not so much hippie, but they're
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
more kind of like yeah.
Cheap Thrill, the Cheap Thrill album cover would not be allowed today because it's got some very
Yeah.
racial caricatures on that. It would definitely be banned.
Yes,
today.
of course.
Yeah,
of
but
course.
something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Just look, I'm just
Yeah,
looking at
yeah.
it here, and it's you're just looking at it here. Oh, the social justice warriors would not be happy with this bloody album cover.
Exactly. Nowadays, everything is
You go
I
viral
understand.
right away.
It's mental. That the,
Yeah.
It's mental that the far left used to be in the '60s used to be the most progressive group. Now they're one of the most anti-authoritarian group. They just want to cancel everything. Like anything that upsets them, get rid of it. Like
True,
you should
true,
be
true.
upset. Things should upset you. Like that was the whole thing about the anti-authoritarian movement. It is upsetting people. Like so, it's a good
Yeah,
thing.
man.
Like should be a good thing. Like now they just want to ban everything. Anyway, that's my rant about that over. So we'll move on. So you started with
Is
Janis.
Panyu the vinyl or what? Was it vinyl or was it?
Oh, it
CD?
is. Yeah, it is a vinyl. And then my dad had this. You guys know this thing called radiogram?
Oh, you're following
This
a
is very old
radiogram.
shit, man.
You're following
Yeah,
a radiogram.
Radiogram.
Gee,
Did you have to wind it up?
yeah.
So you have a record changer, which they would
Uh-huh.
like pick it up itself and put
Yeah.
it on and flip it.
Uh,
And then also you got the I think the radio is there, and you open on the top, so you just open the top. So you put all like I think about 7 or 8 records, and then it can go on like a jukebox. But that didn't last long because somehow it's short-circuited, and when I was really, I was like getting, electricity through my body whenever I touched it, So my dad threw it away,
That's just a sign of bad grounding in the house. That's just bad electricity throughout the whole entire house.
Oh, that's your superhero apa ni origin story.
Moment.
That's how you got into punk rock. Punk rock.
The album was
Exactly,
The
yeah.
albums were literally electric. They were just sending surges of amazing energy through your body.
True.
So who was the first punk rock band you got into?
Yeah, it's actually it's more like a picture that
Oh.
that changed my life
Okay,
basically
what was
into
the
punk rock.
what was the picture?
It was a picture of Johnny Rotten.
Which one?
What?
Which one?
Johnny Rotten.
Yeah,
Johnny
which
Rotten?
yeah, which picture? Which picture of Johnny
Okay,
Rotten?
if you remember, there's a picture of him wearing this kind of like sailor jacket, but
Yeah.
and he got written there with probably a marker, "God save the Queen" here,
Yeah.
and then he got a muffler. Yes, and
Yeah.
you know his yellow hair and things like this, and that picture was in my brother's scrapbook, maybe his dictionary. No, his diary. Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause it fell on the floor when I picked him up from the bus, because he was studying in Ipoh and he came back for the holidays. You know, we're very close. So anyway, I saw that picture and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" You know, and then he just told me the whole story, and I was like, "Wow," you know. And in that diary, there's also two other pictures. One was a band from France called Stinky Toys, which is one of the first punk bands from France.
Okay.
And then there's a picture of Billy Idol
Okay.
when he was with
Oh.
Billy Idol before he was Billy Idol. I mean, he
Yeah,
was
Billy Idol
all the
before
couple
Billy
that, but
Idol, yeah.
yeah. He was with Generation X, and
Yeah.
then he had this kind of like homemade sweater, like kind of spray paint and things like that. And this, and prior to that, I was really getting into like the more rebellious characters such as Marlon Brando and James Dean and things like that. So when these people, the punk people, start coming out, man, this is it. And then also the fact that it's my generation, you know, in the sense that my brother was listening to Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin. Of course, he listened to like Patti Smith and stuff like that. But and the rest around my kampong was like into that hard rock of the 70s.
Yeah, of course.
So when I got, this is my own thing, you know. I mean, it's totally different from the rest around me. You know what I mean? I was 14 at that time, so that's the first thing.
It's-
and then
it's
after
all-
that, I got into the music and everything. Yeah, so
It's always nice
Yeah.
to feel like you're unique and you found something that no one else has. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
it's
Yeah,
always a good feeling, and then there's periods where you start getting resentful because and then everybody else starts getting it. You're like, when I was there first, fuck you, motherfucker.
no, but I was very happy. I was very happy to finally get friends into it. You know what I mean? Like after a while, friends around my kampong and then friends in the school, and then it start spreading. You know, because before that it was just me alone. It was really hard. You know, but then slowly there's a scene start coming out. Scene in the sense not really musical, but kind of like we're wearing it.
Hang out.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in the day, the most dashat thing is a safety pin. You know, if you have a safety pin in anywhere in your body, that's like fuck, man. You're a punk rocker. You know what I mean? You don't need to even cut your hair.
It was the same back home. It was the same back home. If you seen someone wearing a safety pin, you knew he's in the punk. No matter what
Yes.
else you wore.
Yes,
But
yes.
it had to be a giant safety pin. Couldn't be just a wee small one. It had to be a big one about this
yeah.
size.
Yeah.
You
have to be seen from afar.
Yeah.
It's a beacon, man. It's a beacon. Yeah.
You just knew that,
What's the reason for it being a safety pin?
because the punk rockers back in the day wore safety pins to keep their clothes together because their clothes were falling apart.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like-
it's serious. Yeah.
Then every scene,
Yeah.
whatever they're wearing was taken over as the fashion. Like plaid shirt was taken over like the grunge fashion, and denim leather jackets were taken over as the metal fashion. The original
Because-
guys who were wearing this weren't wearing it to think I'm going to start a fashion trend. They were wearing it because that's all they fucking had in their wardrobe. So like the punks were literally wearing clothes that were falling apart, so they were using safety pins. They kind of
Actually, I don't really know where it started properly, but you know, when punk happened, it was one of the biggest central figure was Malcolm McLaren and Vivian Westwood, and they had a boutique, like a like DIY boutique, kind of very small shop called, I think that time was called Sex.
It was called
and
Sex.
they
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, and Yeah, and because before that it was called Rock and something like that. I mean, they always change the name 3 times, I guess. But anyway,
Yes.
at one point there is this safety pin start coming out, and it appeared on the artwork by Jamie Reed, who did a lot of the artwork for Sex Pistols and stuff.
Yeah.
So Jamie Reed uses that, and of course, I think a lot of the younger punks back in the day, they would go to the ops shop to buy secondhand clothing. And of course, to be like, how to say, punk, you cut off
Yeah.
everything. You will have like, how to say, holes in your t-shirt and everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's held together with safety pin and stuff like that, and that's a part of it.
Yeah.
But of course, it
But-
become more than that. It become a very. I think there's a chapter on by this guy, I can't remember, who's really academia, like really academics talking about the significance of
Of the
the
safety
safety pin. You know what I mean?
Symbolism.
That's,
But that's a school.
that's
The
overthinking
Americans,
it,
the
like-
Americans argue like, no, Richard Hell in New York was the first guy to have the safety pins. So there's all this debate,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Well, punk-
yes,
punk-
yes, he was.
Was he the first?
Punk comes from Detroit.
Yeah,
Like original punk comes from Detroit. Like, and,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Man, you're gonna talk about where punk come from. That's gonna
That's it,
unending, man.
lah.
That's like a rabbit hole, you know. what
I
mean?
know.
You
Yes,
can't
I
get
know.
out of it.
I'm just going to the MC5 and again the Stooges and back way back and proto punk.
This-
What was the real?
This episode will be a box set. Yeah, this episode will be a box set.
Like,
It'll be
what's,
that
the,
long.
what's the oranges of punk? Is it Detroit and Chicago? Is it New York or is it the UK? You're
Yeah.
just going to get the whole row all day long.
Yes, yes, yes. It's unending, People always like,
Unending.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, unending. Hey, you guys, you don't mind just talking about me? I mean, what about you guys? Come on, man.
No. You're the guest.
Hey.
so-
Hey, you're the guest here, Joe. This is all about you, man.
Um,
Yeah,
so
boss.
odd lah, more-
so
Most
Joe,
podcasts
Every
is
other
one
day.
host.
yeah. So
Most,
Joe,
this is
most
only the-
podcasts is one host. So but this
we'll
this
end
one
the
you
first,
oh,
we'll end the first half here. The second half of the show, we'll talk about Dung and how that
Yep.
formed and your journey from that, because that's one of the old school punk bands in Malaysia from 1991. So it'll be good to have see the journey of that. So like second half of the show, we'll take that up. So we'll see you in a minute. Thank you.
alrighty.
Okay, we'll
How
see
many
you in a
minutes?
minute.
Break.
Rokok break ah.
Break. 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
And we're back with
Alrighty.
episode, the second part of the Joe Kid podcast. Thank you, Joe, once again for joining us. And
Anytime, man.
and I think we'll just kick right into Dung. And
Yeah.
so why don't you give us the
I think
origin?
it's really interesting the way he pronounced dung.
Listen, I'm Irish.
Can you
Dung's
Irish.
pronounced as Dung.
Let's open
I think we came up with it. I think it was Irish that came up with the name Dung. 'Cause we call everything Dung's just a term for shite. Literally, just we call everything. How was the gig?
Exactly.
How was the gig last night? I was fucking dung. Fuck it. Pure utter dung. Like so. Yeah. How do you pronounce it?
Yeah. I would say dung.
Dung.
With a
Dung,
bit of
dung.
a dung.
With the A.
We say it with a kind of
But
a,
they are-
a rolling N and G. It's
they-
kind of dung.
Ada dengung.
But there are like
Well,
people
Malay will
saying
say ada dengung.
dong.
locally there be people saying dung.
Yeah,
D-U-N-G,
because-
dung.
That's
No,
betul.
it's-
Yes,
Dung.
exactly.
Dong. It's
So
dung.
yeah, whatever, man, it's fine. So what was the question?
How did the band form? You've got a Wikipedia page, which is nice. It was on your Wikipedia page yesterday, so like I was just having a read, but like obviously,
Oh, you did.
yeah, I did my bit of research. Obviously I know now.
Awesome.
Obviously, I
Yeah,
know.
I just
You
did it
and
during the break.
Fatty, the band. So like, obviously I know, but we want the audience how the band formed. What was the genesis of?
Okay. Actually, there was a version of the band called Carburetor Dung in about, I think it was probably 89 or 90.
Yeah.
I was living in Brickfield and I wanted to have my first band and everything. And there's this guy who came out hang out at our house who plays really good guitar, like he's a great player. He's from Klang. He's a bit of metalhead, I think more kind of death metal kind of guy. And I got this guy also who used to play bass with Rator. His name was
Rator.
Reto is like one of the first, probably the second after Blackfire, where they like the black metal or satanic band that come from Kampung Medan, and they're like legendary. You see, if you talk about Reto, the picture is like this: a whole bunch of kids, like hair goes down like this, like this, bell bottoms, black, everything is black, and when they walk, they just look down, and you can see as if there is this huge black cloud on top of them.
Sounds like me. That sounds like me for my entire 20s in Ireland. Like entire 20s. Like.
So anyway,
my nickname was the Dark Lord back in Ireland. All my friends just call me the Dark Lord. So
yeah, Reto legendary. Anyway, he left the band, so he started hanging out with us. And I started seeing these guys, like, oh, I think it's time to form a band. And there was this great drummer, Cik Mat, amazing drummer. And so I decided to call them out, okay, let's form a band. And it's to be called Carburetor Down. And we went to do our first rehearsal, right?
Just before, can you? I think the origin of the name's great. Can you just give us the name of the origin of the name Cabaret Dung? Where it came from?
Because the name.
Yeah, the actual name itself, because it's a great.
So you decided on that.
Great,
Yeah.
it's a great origin of the name. Like,
it's actually Lester Bangs from a book where they collected posthumously the writing of Lester Bangs, who used to write for Cream magazine in the US and a lot of others.
And anybody who's seen the film
Yeah?
Almost Famous,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
music
Seymour
journalist,
Yeah.
Philip Seymour Hoffman's character it was Lester Bangs, like so, like
Yeah, that's Lester Bangs. Yeah.
That's Lester
Yeah.
Bangs.
So anyway, I grew up reading. Cause I'm really into, how to say, like music journalism in some ways. I grew up reading New Music Express and Sounds magazines. And of course, one of the greatest writers, was Lester Bangs. And then when I got that book, it's just like, and I thought it'd be great to have a name like that. You know what I mean? But I kind of regret it now, though. It's a bit too long. Carburetor Down, But anyway, that's where the name came from. So I started this band with those guys, but the guy who I thought would be great to be the guitarist, he can't play with other people. He plays great on himself, like on his own. But when in a band, he has to he doesn't know the counting. He has to. You can hear audible that he said 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. When we were jamming, we were doing that. Yeah. So after like three rehearsals, no, it didn't happen. So anyway, I went on to form other bands and stuff like that. And there's this guy from Taiping. Is it Taiping or Parit Bunta? Which is Fendi. He's a young guy who started jamming at the Amera studio in Pertama Complex. And we hang out at the Central Market. So I always go and see them jamming this new band. And I give a name for them. They call it the Stormfish. The fish from the storm drain, which is the river beside Central Market. Yeah. Like, the fish there is like, fuck man, it's like besi, like iron fish. You can't.
Oh my God.
It's like a new species that's so like
hardcore,
anyway. So
it's hardcore fish.
Punk fish.
Yes, a fish that live on that drain is crazy. So anyway, so I always go and see them play, but they always be playing their covers. They play Sex Pistols, they play Exploiter and things like this, And I always urge them to write their own song. So in the end, Fendi said, Joe, why don't you just shut up and just join us, And you wrote the song, you write the song. So I joined in. So that was 90. I think he started a band 91, and I kind of joined late 91 or early 92, something like that. At that time, I had the bands of my own. One was called Millions of Mad Muslims, with a bunch of friends. And it was pretty much really kind of like this guy. I don't know. I think Azmi know Wan Hamidi. He's now Wan Hamidi is now the political secretary to DAP or something like this. You know, he was the singer, and he.
Yeah, man.
Infiltrate. Take them down from the inside.
How did all you fucking punk guys become so influential in the scene? Everybody grew up to be very successful in fucking scenes. Like, because all the punk guys I know back in Ireland didn't do fuck all with anything. But here they all went off and they did do very successful things, lecturing and archivises and the guy for DAB.
Now, one thing that I know some of my friends that we already know that we're not gonna be making money playing punk rock, you know. So, but there are things that we love outside of music. So, you know, everybody should just go attack that side, and we can still do our own music. You know, so that consciousness was quite early on. So, which is why I guess, you know. But anyway, so Millions of Mad Muslim. We jam a bit, we wrote a few songs and kind of like speed up. And I had a great heartbreak, you know. So I formed this really sad indie pop band.
You formed a post-hardcore band. That's what you did, didn't you? You formed.
No, indie pop. It's indie pop.
You sure it wasn't
indie pop?
You sure it wasn't an emotional hardcore band? You sure it wasn't an emotional hardcore?
No. It was totally indie
Are
pop.
you sure it wasn't like Fugazi?
No, it's not. It's really. I mean, yeah, it's guitar driven and all that, but it's really sad songs. You know,
Pixie-esque.
What was the
so
name
anyway,
of this band?
Oh,
Deflower.
it's definitely
Deflower.
Definitely like
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, man, check out the name, Deflower.
yeah.
It's like heartbreak.
The connotations on that are sinister.
Yes.
Yeah, so I kind of like got into Stormfish and changed the band's name to Karwe Tedang, which is the name I used to have before. And after that, my other band kind of like just fade away, you know. So I stopped becoming more serious with them, and that's how it started. Yeah, about almost 30 years now, I guess. Yeah.
91.
Yes.
Carbureted, it was the original. Yeah, nearly. It'll be 30 years next year. It's crazy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Fuck, man. I didn't realize that actually.
When was the last Carburetor Dang show?
Oh wow, we were supposed to do what do you call it, the Facebook live streaming thing on the 25th of this month, a few days ago. But I don't know. I mean, we went for a rehearsal after 1 year not doing anything. It's pretty crappy. we need more time. So anyway, but the last show we played was, I guess, with a band from, I think it was a band from France or something that played at Rumah Api. I think I can't remember now. France or from overseas anyway. Yeah, I think it was from France. I think, well, maybe not. So yeah, that's about a year or more, probably about 13 months ago or something like this.
Oh, okay.
And yeah.
Cool.
Joe, are you the main person in the band who writes the songs, or like over the years did the band also start writing songs together and stuff?
Yeah, I write the songs. I do the lyrics. I do the artwork and everything.
Did you design that fantastic poster behind your right shoulder?
Oh, the picture is from my girlfriend's artwork.
That's a great
and then
poster.
And I just take it together and put it together.
Yeah. No, it's a great poster. It's a really good poster.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's nice also.
And who's the band directly behind your head?
Oh, that's the sad thing recently. You know, Power Trip.
Shit, yeah, man.
You don't know Power Trip?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's an American. I think it was Texas band.
Oh, the
Playing
guy died. Yeah.
The guy who died.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is their show in KL. Yeah, I mean, this is poster from the show in KL,
Oh, they played
Yeah.
KL.
which I went to.
Okay,
Yeah. It was like the second last show they played before he died.
Where did they play?
The last show was in Bangkok. They played.
Mm.
What was that place again?
Life Act? No, not
somewhere
a Life Act.
Melawati. No. It's
Yeah,
somewhere
it's
Melawati.
Angkasa, is it something
Yeah,
like that?
Angkasa
Or
Space.
some other name? Angkasa Space.
Angkasa Space, yeah. Angkasa Space.
In Bangsa?
No.
No.
I think
They
it was
were,
Malawati.
they were doing some live stuff during the MCO as well.
Hmm.
Angkasa. Yeah, they did a couple of shows when
Yeah.
the MCO just hit. That's how I heard of it.
Yeah.
Have Angkasa been around a while?
I think they've been around for like 3 years. You know, I rarely went though. It's a bit far for me. I don't drive, so it's always a problem.
Yeah, neither do I.
Where are you situated right now, Joe?
I mean, Bangsa near Jalan Riung at the, you know,
Oh, okay.
near NST there, yeah.
Yeah.
Jalan
NST,
Kurau,
correct.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we're pretty close together. Then I live in. I just live beside Merdeka, yeah.
Oh, okay.
In Maxwell Towers,
Right.
just in John and Guessing.
Oh, yeah, not that far actually.
Not that far.
But I don't drive, so I mean, it's always a problem.
Yeah, Derek. Actually, Derek doesn't drive also.
Hey, for me, it's opposite. I have to drive. I mean, fucking bungy.
See that or
Yeah.
fucking. See that or fucking learn time travel or get a fucking travelator, fucking something like that.
Derek, do you have a license, Derek?
No, I've never really driven. I never had interest in driving.
Even in Ireland?
Never had interest. Plus, I'm far too nervous of a human being. Plus, to allow myself to be behind something that can kill people. They take responsibility for something that can actually kill people. So I was like going, I'm a nervous enough passenger. Never mind me actually being in charge of the thing that can kill people, and then it's my responsibility. Fuck that. I'll just I'll allow my wife to take that responsibility, and then I'll blame her. And whatever.
Actually, last year I went to get my license. You know, it was like the plan was to get the big bike license and then manual car. I paid for it. Yeah, I paid for it and everything, but then I didn't finish it because I got busy. So now I have to go back and do it again. You know.
Do it all over again. Yeah.
Well, what's the process now?
Yeah,
You got to
yeah.
sit down for that. The what? They give you a lecture and all that stuff. Yeah?
The courses must go.
Yeah, you gotta go to
Unless
that
you-
computer thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
not
Yeah, unless
computer,
you damn pro, you can count team with everybody lah.
Yes, I can count him. Actually, my cousin is one of the bosses at JPJ, you know, and he offered me. But I just
Offered you some more.
Derek, when
because-
we are
because-
editing this, just bleep that out lah. Just bleep it.
because I haven't driven for a long time. The last time I drove, I crashed a car, you know, my dad's car.
man.
So which is why from
It's a good
then
enough
on
reason
I
not to
kind of
be
like
driving, like.
exactly.
It's a very good reason not to
But
be
it really impede my movement, you know. I really want to go see because since I'm writing a book, I need to meet a lot of people. I want to go and see this guy here and there, you know. So,
So what's your
it's
book?
pretty hard.
You're writing a book. What's your book about?
Yeah.
It's the history of punk in South Asia.
Oh, you're still.
And it's
still
covered.
that? Okay.
Yeah, I'm still doing that, you know.
Oh,
And
good,
there's a
okay.
lot of holes still, you know. And a lot of my old friends back in the East Coast, they don't want to talk about it anymore. Like I'm like religious now.
Oh
Just
no.
pass, you know. So I have to like
they-
really like.
Have they really
bring
gone that
them-
far where they can't even talk about their youth?
No, they
really
kind of
went-
like. I mean, this thing happened in Japan too. When I was in Japan, a lot of the older guys don't want to talk about it. I mean, they're off it, you know. But I try to say this is your, you know, this is like your younger days, you know. Come on,
Yeah.
you know.
It's
so-
weird because in Ireland, everybody like all the old school guys in the industry all talk about their younger days. They all
Yeah.
want.
So they brag.
They will
brag that
literally,
it is.
they will literally
That's
talk
their-
your head off. They will spend 8 hours.
Yeah.
If you allow them to, you'll be there 8 hours later. Them still telling you goddamn stories about shit they did back in the fucking day. You're
Yeah,
like,
it's
oh,
the
God.
glorious days, man.
Yeah.
The glorious days.
And we all
yeah.
talk about, we all love talking about back in the day, like we had the good times, like so. Like I can't understand not even the mad stuff that you did, even the embarrassing stuff you did. those are the things that made you the person that you are today. Like, so I don't understand why you wouldn't talk about it. Like,
Probably because they don't drink, you see, so they kind of like guard it most
Don't
of the
drink.
time.
They don't drink anymore, or they don't drink
They don't drink
Just
anymore.
don't drink. Period. Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, man.
So when you say they
Anymore, yeah.
became, a lot of them became religious, did they actually just find religion again, or is it a family thing because they settled down and?
I think it's always there with you, I mean, if you grow up in such society, it's always there with you. And if you don't leave that place, then of course you have subscribed to it in a sense, or you've been subscribed to it, in a way. So, and the pressures there is pretty much everywhere, you see.
it's easier it's easier to conform to the societal norm than just keep fighting it,
Resist.
especially if you're stuck in it the whole time. Like, it's going to be
especially when you got married, you got kids, and you got this family of responsibilities and all these things. I understand perfectly, but I just don't understand why they want to talk about that. Why they don't want to talk about the old times?
Because they were.
Hey, but that's interesting.
They were part of
though.
something
That could-
amazing. Like, they helped create a scene.
But as academic, I can hear that there's a thesis there about piety and living punk. Interesting. That, Because I always find it interesting, Joe, that there'll be always people who, especially in subculture, where they jump in the subculture and they jump in with the same relish for the same conservatism. They go like, no, you're not punk, you're not this, you're not that. The same subscription to that kind of.
But I do think that there are always a lot of people who are still searching for themselves. You see, so you go through this, you go through that. I always meet a lot of these people.
But it's always the same.
They're still in their journey. You see,
it's the people always searching for themselves who are transitional in the scenes. It's the people who find the scenes and love the scene and stay in the scene, like yourself or like myself or like Asma and stuff, or the guys like who are they're in for the long haul. Like we love music and the music we love, it's for life. I always I'm a goth, so I always joke with my friends. I always go goth is for life. It's not just for Halloween. So once I find goth, I'm goth for life. That's just it. Like it's my scene. I love it.
That's interesting, because in the late 90s there was this guy who wrote to me saying that, oh Joe, I want to start a goth scene in Subang Jaya.
Dude, when I was moving to Malaysia, one of the first things I looked up was goth scene in Malaysia on Google. It's because I didn't know that there was a goth scene in Malaysia. There was nothing here. Like, I was like going, well,
yeah, of course,
it's 32 degrees the whole time. It's not going to be fucking happening. Like, there's no.
I wrote back to that guy. So you guys gonna be wearing flip flops? You guys gonna be, I mean,
it's just not.
He didn't reply. He didn't reply your email. Did he reply?
I mean, I write nicely. I just say that it's a bit weird to have it here.
The only place I felt comfortable being a goth in Malaysia was me and my wife. We went for a weekend in Cameron Highlands and stayed in that English style hotel.
Yeah.
And
you got the mist going.
Oh, the mist, dude! It was amazing. The mist was going. We were sitting in front of a big open fire. I was sending posting photographs of my friends. My family were messaging me privately, going like, "Are you back in fucking Ireland? Why you not fucking tell us you're back home?" I go, "I'm not back in Ireland. I'm Malaysia." They go, "How the fuck's that Malaysia? The fucking mist and there's fucking fireplaces and what the fuck's going on?" Yes. I was going. Okay, if I ever get money, I'm retired in fucking Cameron Highlands, because it's pure. I can be a goth. I can just be the weird goth guy who wanders about in the mist. It'll be great. But yeah, but for a lot of people, it is, as you said, it is fighting scenes. They're just trying to find themselves, so it becomes transitional. They find the punk scene earlier in their life, but they're not really, and they're just trying to find who they are as a person.
Yes.
So it's a transitional movement, like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's normal, you know, in a way.
And that's the majority. It's the majority, like especially, and not to insult women, but a lot of, like we always said in the alternative music scene, a lot of girls get in the alternative music scene because they're attracted to a guy in the scene, and once they get married to the guy, they stop listening to that music completely and go on to someone else. And go on to someone completely else. You're like, going, you weren't into that music. You just pretended that you're in that music to get the guy you wanted, and now you're married to him. And you fuck the music, like so, like.
It's a cool chick, but then like.
Once you get married, fuck the music, like. So yeah.
Yeah, but there was this girl that I know. He got into black metal heavily. Probably some of I don't know. Probably as men know, but this woman, I met her when I went to Melbourne. You know, I was hanging out and she was there studying. So I called up. So let's meet. So yeah, she came out, and I was supposed to wait outside my friend's house. It's kind of really lonely road with trees and all that, right? And I was waiting for her. It's quite cold, you know. And then I saw this dark figure walking, all black, man. Like all the lipstick's all black. And it's like, what the fuck, you know? So she became like total like goth black metal woman in kind of like wintry Melbourne. So she found the space where she can be true to herself in some ways.
Yeah, Melbourne is a perfect place for goth until summer lah. Until summer in Australia, it's like 40 degrees.
Summer, then you start an indie pop band lah.
Yeah. Hey, no, Australian summer is like 40 plus degrees.
Northern Europe. Northern
Europe
Europe is the perfect place for goth because it's cold all the fucking time. It rains all the fucking time. It's fucking miserable. We're happily that's why the goth scene came from Bradford and Leeds in the UK. Have you ever been in Bradford and Leeds? They're the two greyest towns in history. I mean, literally grey fucking industrial towns, miserable places to fucking be. There's nothing happy about it at all. Like, so that's why the goth scene came from both Bradford and Leeds. Like, that's fucking the whole goth scene.
Yeah.
So,
but it's interesting conversation we're getting in because I always like subcultures and especially the environment. I mean, like
the environment was fucking
come in tandem, yeah.
The environment was so central.
Isn't
If you look at the early British metal scene, it came from Birmingham, and the Birmingham scene was Birmingham was an industrial town, and it was the steel centre of the UK. It was literally the metal scene of UK that created metal, like so. And Seattle was a miserable hell. LA was just all fucking the way it was, like which crafted the LA hair metal scene. Like, of course, the scene where you live creates the style of music you do. Like, it absolutely does. Like, and you're surrounded.
I mean, like Joe's come from Terengganu. I mean, no Kelantan. Suffocation's from Kelantan, kan? Was it Terengganu?
Yeah, Kelantan.
I remember I was in Form 2. So there was this kid he was in Form 1 and he skipped his class and he used to sit next to me in my classroom and listen to Suffocation. And he had his earphones on and I could still hear. So he was blasting it loud. So I told him, hey, show me what cassette is that? And I saw that classic album with the Grim Reapers carrying the coffin.
Yeah,
album.
That's the first album. That's the first album, 92.
Classic. Yeah, so someone said, hey, Kelantan. So almost like over here, because it's not so much probably the weather, but also the cultural climate, right?
I always find it,
Kelantan.
I always find it,
the Kelantan climate.
I always find it ironic that the black metal bands in Malaysia, it's all Malays.
Come from there.
It's all Malays that are in the black metal scene, which is
not only from Malays, and they all come from like Kelantan or very conservative places because where you're kind of like really repressed. Yeah,
the more repressed you are, the more you want.
Actually, I have a story on that. Back in the mid '80s, there was these guys who kind of like a bit more advanced than the rest, basically. And what they did was they do their own pirated cassettes. So what they did was, they were the ones who were really one of the first people to start trading or selling speed metal, thrash, death metal. It's called Metal Merchants, and it's a bunch of kids there who, what they did was, you got the LPs, probably somebody from overseas who got it or something like this. They took picture like from on top, like to get that proper square, and they go into the photo shop and print it out, like, on the proper the size, and they cut it out and put it on the cassette, and then dub it and sell it off, and that's how a lot of the kids got into it. And and I found it back, I think probably about 87, 80, around 87, 88, maybe earlier on, because my family is from Kelantan, so I would go back for Hari Raya, things like that, and then I found this, and I was like, what the fuck, I already know about these bands or whatever, but it's just like amazing. And when I interview a lot of the early thrash metal bands from here, they got this cassette. They were living in the north, like Perlis or other stuff, but they got this cassette from Kelantan. So it's one.
So it's a center.
Kelantan
So it's a huge
black metal in Malaysia. It's crazy.
There you go.
I don't think it's so much black metal though. I mean, in terms of extreme metal, yes. I mean, a lot of it comes from there. Yeah. In terms of black metal, I would say, the first band, 1982, called Metal Ghost, who later on changed their name to Blackfire. They were from Perlis, up north there. And they were like really into that. They were really into Venom, into Celtic Frost and things like that.
Jesus, but
and then only after the
Celtic Frost and Venom were barely going in '82 as well. Like they must have got into that music pretty quickly, because those bands.
Pretty
interesting,
pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean that's
No. I mean, they started out like into Judas Priest and that stuff, new wave of British heavy metal, but they kept on with the trend. You see, I mean, when all this speed metal coming out, Venom and all, I mean,
who's faster?
So they just followed it.
Who's faster,
and they get
faster.
Yeah. But the second one that we know of was mainly Retor, which is in Kuala Lumpur, which is more kind of like satanic, I mean, the legend says, this is Retor. You have to like really, okay, apparently their house there's no electricity.
Oh, the
There's
urban
no
legends are starting now. The urban legends
Yes,
are starting
yes.
now.
And they only use candles.
Of course.
Only candles everywhere. And there's a huge pentagram on the floor.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's how they put the rice and eat together.
Fantastic urban legends. Fantastic urban legends.
No, but that's kind of lost in the social media world we live in. That kind of like urban legend. Because
the urban legends
have to show
spread
everything.
was fantastic. Like, I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I remember.
And it's the same.
I remember in 98 when the film The Craft came out.
Oh, crap, yeah.
Like me and my 4 or 5 friends went into the cinema in my hometown to watch The Craft, and we all walked in, and we were all like fucking gothed out. So we just walked in. I walked right in the middle of the cinema and went to sit down. All you hear going, witches, fucking witches. All that were witches.
I had a crush on Fairuza Balk, the actress. Fairuza Balk.
I love in that film. Fairuza Balk was the hottest woman in the world at that
was.
time. When she walked up to the party, up to the party scene, when she went to kill the guy, that was just one of the hottest scenes ever. Like,
Man.
For that period, Fairuza Balk was the goth fucking queen. She really was like.
Look at Brendan and Fabian.
Not a clue.
Fabian's getting a full education.
No, you know why? No, because we had the VHS at home, and I'm wondering because there were 2 in my house. One was called Little Witches, and one was The Craft.
The Craft.
Of course, I didn't watch these things because we were not allowed to watch these things.
Little Witches was nothing, but The Craft was.
But I remember The Craft because it was Neve Campbell, but I didn't watch the movie.
Aren't you supposed to go and grab the, okay, you are not allowed to see, that's the first thing you're going to go see, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true. We also weren't allowed to see Kama Sutra and Kali Gula, the VHS.
But they left it on the shelf. But they left it on the shelf.
No.
Oh,
No.
You found it?
I left it in my dad's cupboard, which I found. Hey, you don't simply.
Creative. That's how it all begins.
Yeah, you definitely simply. Okay, so I think the conversation went well. We're about to run out of time again. I think we may have to move on to number 3. I think we need to move on.
Yeah. Let's go one more round.
Okay.
So
we'll stop
here. Part 3, guys. We're getting better at this.
Back.
It's getting this podcast is actually turning into something.
Yeah.
I'm already envisioning our
Joe,
100th
Joe,
episode.
you're actually going to have to archive this fucking shit eventually at some stage. You're going to archive our podcast.
Digital. This is the digital. Yeah.
There's a digital representation of Malaysia's fucking scene. We'll eventually, hopefully, eventually, we will get everybody on, the whole entire scene on.
Oh wow, yeah.
idea.
That's what we want eventually. Just get the entire music scene. Everybody who, not even everybody.
By episode 2000 lah.
Not even everybody.
Or
Who's
3000.
important, not even everybody who's important, because like, I don't even like that idea of let's get the important people on. I hate that idea. Like that just keeps the
Exactly.
whole. I think just keeps the whole trend of having a hierarchy going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hierarchies.
that's true also.
So just get people who are good people or are good that have good stories to tell on the podcast.
Basically, that's it. Good stories. That's what
Good
we want to hear all
stories,
the time.
So like, fuck the hierarchies.
Exactly.
That always drove me mad. Even back in Ireland, I've got a like more personal story back in Ireland when I was running my gigs back in Ireland, and we come from a small town. It's only like 20,000 people, but we managed to get. I ran a gig night. We managed to get all the best on-sign bands in Ireland there, for my gig night. But one of the alternative magazines has started. They were called Alternative Ulster. I don't mind saying it because like they can call me out if they want. I don't care. But like I contacted them one time and go, would you mind coming down to a review of our gig night and stuff like that there? And they're going like, oh, we don't really do reviews of gig nights, but like, oh, and I told them the bands who had played. And so it goes, oh, you've got all the important bands. Like you've got a good important bands. And I was like, going, okay, I don't really want you to come down at all now. Fuck that. the idea that they were looking, going, oh, you've got the important bands. For all you're just providing a space for bands to play,
Yeah.
and we were paying them as well. And like the two reasons I started the gig night was one, a place for bands to play, but a place for my local bands to be able to play along with the best bands in Ireland, to give them the idea of that they're good enough to play along with the best bands in Ireland. And some of them are the best. Some of them were the best bands in Ireland from my hometown. But to be able to pay bands as well was the idea, not fucking to put on a fucking ego trip for myself, to put on the best band so we can all stroke each other's fucking egos about things like. So.
But that's an interesting point there, Derek. I mean, Joe, you're talking about like, I mean, the joy of music journalism, right? Reading about, writing about music. That's increasingly becoming a very marginalized.
Oh
at least,
yeah.
kind of like field. What's your thoughts on that, man?
There's this huge, how to say, huge difference. It's really bad now, because do you remember the magazine called Junk?
Yeah.
Okay, even before Junk, there was another one called Tone magazine, right?
Yes, Tone.
And even then, the writing was pretty much very surface, you see. And I hated it, I really hate it when okay, back in the day, I mean my days, the content was the bands and what they have to say, But by about like I believe probably about mid 90s onward, it become the bands are just like how to say a content to put these adverts beside it, so the advert
smoke screens for everything else, like they were like fucking they
yes
were window dressing. They were window dressing. Here's
yes,
the band,
exactly.
buy our shit.
Yeah. So I'm mentioning those two magazines because they are friends of mine working on it and stuff like that. But I just don't. I hated it when Jam magazine first came out. They brought over to my shop, right, to the rice cooker shop, and I just took it and put it in the bin, because it's junk. No, because I was so frustrated because I thought like when I first heard that there'd be this new magazine of music, local music, and I was like, wow, it'd be great, But when I opened it up, I was like, what the fuck, I mean, it very surface. It doesn't even go, like because I grew up reading New Music Express, Sounds Magazine, Melody Maker, Zigzag, and all this. I mean, all this really, really great music writing. When they write about a band, they would go along on a tour with a band, like 4 days or maybe a week, and came back, got like 5 pages of them. And they would talk about where the bands come from, their politics, the socio-political thing that's happening around them at that time, their influence. It's like, and when you read it, it's like, man,
that's how you got into so many bands, by reading who your favorite band and then reading who their influences was. And the only way you find out who their influences was,
you learn a lot
by reading good journalism, talking about interviewing bands, going who are they into, where did they come from, who did they get, and you go into you start off. You might have started off in '86 with Metallica, but you ended up in fucking. You may end up in 1932 with fucking like Robert Johnson. It's like that's how you got there. Like
exactly. That's how you go back.
Because you got into Metallica, and you went from Metallica to Black Sabbath, you went from Black Sabbath to Led Zeppelin, you went from Led Zeppelin to the Beatles, then the Beatles to fucking Muddy Waters, and then Muddy Waters to fucking Robert Johnson, and you found Robert Johnson because of you read good music journalism, not fluff. You didn't read fluff nonsense. Like.
And you realize it's a lineage.
There's a lineage. You always looked at it. There's a thing in there's a good in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There's a great thing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like that. Any Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu master, anybody who's great in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, has to show their lineage. So if you look at a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they have to be able to show where their lineage comes from. So it comes from the origin of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu from Brazil, and then each person who gives them their black belt. So you can actually look at the lineage of whoever you are training with, and look at their little lineage from the origins of it to today, which is fantastic. It keeps it pure. It stops it from turning into McDojo martial art. We all know martial arts are some martial arts like McDonald's martial arts. Like you get a black belt after a year of doing nothing. Like. But Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu stays pure by keeping the lineage pure.
McDonald martial art, man.
That is the same McDonald. I have a black belt and some fries.
But that's the thing. It's a well-known thing.
It is.
It's a well-known thing in the martial arts. You call it McDojo. McDojo martial arts because McDonald's martial arts. Like, but like,
okay.
So knowing the lineage of your bands and knowing where they came from is so important. And you only knew that but from really good music journalism, like Ross Halford, it was a Metallica's photographer. So everybody knew Ross Halford. If you're in metal, you knew who Ross Halford was, and you knew him because he toured with Metallica. He went on tour with Metallica for decades, and and so you knew that all the great Metallica photographs or the great metal photographs was Ross Halford's work, like, and you knew that because like. You read a really good music magazine. You seen an amazing photograph. Who did that? Who took that photograph? Ross Halford, and Ross.
It's also the same with record labels. Record labels back in the day were people who love music, people who it's not so business minded.
Not accountants, fucking accountants.
Yes, exactly. So they love it.
Like
so
Jonathan Poneman and Bruce Pavitt started Sub Pop. Nothing to do with fucking making money, just because they're two lunatics who wanted like music and wanted to start fucking wanted to have an output for the music that they loved, and like
it's a bit lost, man. I mean, all this. I tried this experiment a couple of years. I mean, like probably a decade ago. I just wrote a nice press release. And then I sent it to one of the presses. And then I wrote the article, the byline someone else. Then I realized, there's this whole Bob Dylan tag.
Put it there.
Yeah, this whole Bob Dylan tag they have on me now. It was just a joke. I was like, just put there, I'm Malaysian Bob Dylan. It's stuck to me now, man. It's a curse. You realize because like,
I think you're the Malaysian Bruce Springsteen, not Bob Dylan. But
but I'm better than Bruce. I've got a real job. Bruce, the boss never held a job. but
that may be the most controversial thing I've heard since fucking the Beatles are bigger than Jesus. You saying you're better than Bruce?
He's rich. He's okay. No, he's rich. He's okay.
I'm going to edit that clip and just fucking post it online. Just a 10-second clip. But Asma Yunus is better than Bruce Springsteen.
But it's true, right? It's just the standard journalism.
It's not journalism. It's not journalism.
It's not journalism. It's not journalism.
It's copy and paste. It's not journalism.
Yeah.
It's fucking there's nothing. No journalism. Like I've sat and heard some music journalism recently in Malaysia. Like, and I was like horrified. Like the questions that were being asked. You're like going like, what? Are these asking real people this real questions? You're like, I was horrified at the fucking things that were being asked. Like,
okay, I tell you when I was with the Star back in the late 80s, right? And then so when you first joined and you're a trainee reporter, so you got sent you to all these different desks, the crime desk, the business desk.
You learn your trade.
Then,
you learn your trade.
Yeah. So my first assignment for the entertainment desk was to go and interview this pop star. What is it? I can't remember what's his name now. But anyway, when I got there, and I was so like eager, and I want to, with all this great question about the studio, the songwriting, all these things, where influences, whatever. When I got there, all this like this journalists, other journalists from URTV and all that, Berita Harian, whatever, and they were there like asking, so who was that woman in red we was going out with?
Oh God.
And I was like, what the fuck, So the questioning was nothing to do at all with music or creativity or
No.
And
No,
that's really
that's what I witnessed recently as well. Like in music journalism here in Malaysia, where they were talking to a musician or there was nothing to do with music.
I just waiting for some name drops. What's going on?
Not dropping names. I live in this goddamn country.
So what were the questions you heard in this?
Similar. Nothing to do with the music. Nothing to do with anything. It was just. It was silly questions. Like it was like remedial questions that a child would ask.
How recent was this? A face-to-face
Inside
thing?
the last 2 years. Inside the last.
Oh,
2 years.
2 years lah. Okay.
No, but because with the internet, there's no excuse you don't do research.
But there was
correct.
These were face-to-face conversations. Like there was no research done. It was just remedial questions that you were asking. Like
Nowadays it's probably like they just Google questions to ask in an interview with musicians, and then they just, why did you write this song? What's the inspiration? It's just the same.
There's probably a goddamn app for that.
Yeah.
To be honest, right?
I once
It's across the board, guys.
I once was lucky to interview Mudhoney, the guys from Mudhoney, Mark Arman, and all from Mudhoney. Like, and I brought my best friend, who is the biggest Mudhoney fan in the world, because I didn't know that much about Mudhoney. The internet wasn't that prevalent at the time. Like, it was a long time ago. But I brought him because he knew everything about Mudhoney. So I just go, right, do you want to come to the interview? Because we were getting the gig for free because we were interviewing Mudhoney. And he goes, yeah. I go,
yeah.
You ask the questions, I'll just write down fucking everything. Like, so you just ask the fucking pertinent questions. Like, so like I just brought him because like I didn't want to ask these fucking guys who helped create the Seattle scene these fucking nonsense questions about nothing. Like, what was Kurt Cobain like? Nothing like that was being asked. Like, I could not ask. I couldn't sit and ask Mudhoney what was Kurt Cobain like. I go ask them pertinent, ask them real questions. Like, and so he was like, I just let him just go. You ask the proper questions. Like, so that's the way it should be done. Well.
Yeah, you drag another guy in.
Yeah, drag somebody who knows what they're fucking doing.
But guys, being a journalist now, I mean, working for NST now, it's across the board. This issue problem is across the board. Like, if you were to read like whatever that's coming on the news these days, reporters would just pick stuff out from like social media, and that is news. They would not have even spoken to the person. That person would have tweeted something,
but
and
you
that
could tell.
next day you would see it. And then you start to wonder. You're like, how is that news when the general public can just go straight to Twitter and just read that, themselves? They don't need you to rewrite.
You can tell by reading an interview of a journalist has done their fucking work or not.
Just pick it up somewhere and quote it. Yeah, man.
It's
also that.
But I mean, back in the day, there are magazines who remedy that. You got Men's Review, some of those magazines that really
Yeah.
write very well and go deep into a certain item or a person or whatever. But even those magazines are dead now. So
Yeah.
I mean,
I remember.
you have,
Yeah. Men's
yeah,
Review
you have,
was.
yeah, Men's Review is good. Yeah. There are a lot. I mean, back in the day, even the Malay one was called Siasa. There's really good writing there. You know what I mean? But now, my God, it all become URTV of the 80s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like really
Remember
bits
your
and
TV?
pieces.
Your TV used to be this big, like
Yeah.
rectangle, and always some chick. I remember because my late grandpa was a journalist. I get all these URTVs. It's just I was like 11 or 10. Probably my first sexual awakenings was because of URTV. It's like I didn't know anything about music. It's just like, hey, hot chick.
Hey, hot chick.
Yeah, hot chick. I was like, what's this magazine about? Huh? Music? Oh, fuck. I didn't know what it was. It was about music. Yeah, but it's interesting because I always felt that part of the important making is the writing, and that's becoming is kind of eroded, and that's I don't know lah. It's I'm not pining for the good old days, but I'm just saying that the writing needs to emerge in different forms, kan? And it could be in I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's important, I think, because it's a form of validation of what we do. It's very important. I mean, there's no reviews now. Music reviews down the drain. There's nothing.
But
there's absolutely nothing.
In terms of review,
we got Instagram though.
No.
Yeah. No, in terms of review now, you just put a link to Bandcamp or SoundCloud, and that's it. Listen to it yourself, lah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Decide
because
yourself.
It's too hard. Because it's too hard to kind of like explain it and stuff.
Leave a comment, Leave a comment. I'll quote you. It's really the Wild West, lah. It's and I'm like musicians coming up, the younger ones. I mean, like it's really, again, I think you need a compass. I always felt that music writing was that compass of where to check out stuff. I mean, even when the newspapers were there, you have gig listings, right? Everybody would know. Whereas now it's so dispersed because of social media. So there's so many gigs going on. People probably just like, I don't know where the gigs are. I'm not going to any. Because it's just too many. I don't know what's going on. Correct, right? Yeah, you open your Instagram. Oh, there's so many gigs. Sit at home lah. It's like so it's ironic lah.
But that's the problem. There isn't so many gigs going on. There never was, especially in KL, for a city of 8 million people. There isn't
not as much
at all. Especially original music gigs. Like there's hardly anything.
Original music, not a lot at all.
And there's hardly any fucking places to play for original music. Like it's fucking, it's absolutely nuts. It's
dwindling.
Nuts.
Yeah, but when the scene first started, like late 80s and then early 90s and all that, the type of music that we're into, there's not that many gigs, and so it's really precious. And then when it start to have shows in Penang and in Alustar and Ipoh, even in Seremban, and then it become like, so, but by the time of the early 2000s, we can start seeing all these more flyers coming out on like, first on MySpace, and then, and then it start coming out a lot and so much, because I know this, I collect flyers, ever since, so I got a lot of flyers, and even from every day, even now, if I go on Facebook, I see a flyer, I just drag it onto the desktop, and then I will put it in a certain folder, what year it is and stuff like that. So you can see how, in terms of the underground or so-called alternative music, it goes like very like this and then
like COVID cases.
COVID cases in Germany today.
There's always, with alternative music, there's always peaks and troughs. There's always peaks and troughs when it comes to popularity. Not just popularity, but the actual how strong the music scene is, and the amount of bands coming through. There's always waves. It takes a while. It'll peak and then a trough, and then it'll peak and it'll trough
Yeah.
and it'll peak and it'll trough. That's the way I've always
But-
seen
but-
gigs.
But I think that sense of, I think what you mentioned that about like memorabilia is kind of lost too, right? Because when everything's digital, it's somewhere
Well, like,
on
but
Instagram, and you can't collect it.
you can't.
And the
you,
sense.
you can still do it. You can do it. It can be done digitally. Like it doesn't.
No, you
have-
can. But
it
no, because you have the attitude, you come for
Yeah.
that time. But if
Yeah.
you were somebody now, and it's kind of like ephemeral, it just disappears.
Yeah,
And
correct.
Yes.
an
yes,
article,
exactly.
like news articles. I mean, in the past, like, wow, I came out Star 2. I cut
Yeah.
that, man. I'll go buy 3-5 more copies.
Yeah,
You know,
correct. All your
yeah.
family members, go buy every copy. Tak ada,
Yeah, it's one thing your uncle call you, never call you before. Say, yeah, I saw you in the paper. lah."
Now your mother also will look at you. Got start online. What? Why you want to buy paper? And
It just.
oh, like that.
But
I think.
but I want
I think-
I want
I
to pose a
think-
question. I want to
So,
I want
yeah,
to pose a question
I'll
here.
say
Okay.
this. I'll say this and then pose the question. I just think we're in a new media holding zone of where
Yeah, of course.
it's transitional. We're still trying to get used to this whole social media idea where everything seems transitional. I think it.
No, but we are that. But those who
no,
are
I
younger,
think I think we're as a species we are because it's never happened before as a species where we're trying to where everything is just click 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 click. I think
That's exactly that's
I think
that's, this is-
eventually it will pass, and then people will start finding their own ways again. But this is at the moment as a species we're in a hole zone where it's kind of like fucking people are trying to.
I disagree with that in a way because I believe what the I mean I am an old fart now, right? I mean, so
old fart.
the way we think is totally different. The way we take music is totally different from how younger people are taking music now. But my understanding for them is very disposable, you know. So even the ephemeral stuff around music is disposable, you know, because one thing is there's too many of it, too much, you know. One, even if, let's say you are, I met a lot of kids and they all like would select certain genre or subgenre that they like, and they will stick to it because if they want to listen to everything like we do, I mean, I listen to everything, so it's crazy, you know, it's too much, and so you specialize into a niche that you like, and that's it, you know. And all these things, the music, you can immediately listen to it, dismiss it or keep it, you know. I mean, it's not like what we do those days. We found a cassette, you got like your Blue Roma come up, you know, like standing up, like, you know, like sweating, you know, what the fuck, you know, I mean, no more.
The spinal,
Nowadays, it's just
the
like,
spinal,
oh, okay.
The spinal chills were always how you knew a good song. If your spine, you got the chills in your spine, you knew this is a good song.
you know, you hit the right. This is your band. This is late. Yeah.
But
I mean,
no,
the fact that people don't even finish the song.
But when I say on the social media side where I think it's transitional and we're in a holding zone, I think we're just trying to get used to that. Everything is being bombarded with it instantly. It's just the instantaneous input of everything, and that's going to take time for as what we are
The species.
as a species. It's never happened in human species, the human race before. That amount of information has been bombarded in that quick of a time because it's really instantaneous, and it's going to take our time to fucking they get through that nonsense. And then we'll revert back to our normal way of being,
And
which is just
I think the only way you can get through all this nonsense, this storm of stuff coming to you, like I said before, you go to a niche part, you know. This
I
thing I like, you know, and that's it. You know? So
at the minute I've
anything-
seen no niches. So there's so many people I know that what sort of music and they go everything. You're going like
Everything.
and they go like what? What do you mean you're into everything?
Yeah, but then you start. But you like country? Oh no, I don't like country. You say everything.
Yeah.
Oh no, country.
Some
Suddenly
jobs,
like oh.
I think eventually, I think eventually everything will start going back to the demarcation of people. The subgroups will start happening again.
subgroups, yes.
Yeah, the
That's how
subgroups
it
will
Start
start happening
again.
again. But like it's just we're just in that mesh of fucking noise at the moment. Where there's too much It's just too much. You're
Overload.
right. It's overload for everybody. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, Spotify is overload for everything. Like, you don't know where you're going. Like, what the hell's going on? Like
Joe, you wanted to ask a question.
Yeah. You want to present a question? Back to us. Oh, you forgot already the question.
But me,
No,
You said
you want to present
wanted to
question
ask
to
a
yeah, you're going
question.
to pose a question. Sorry. Yeah.
yeah, that was the question. I meant
Alright,
mainly
cool.
about
okay.
how do you perceive the younger people listening to music now? You know, whether they take it seriously as what we
But
Oh.
we're
Take it.
perceiving
Oh.
they're not taking it seriously.
This is more for Azmel and Derek. lah, I
We're
guess,
perceiving
man.
they're not taking it seriously. Like, we're doing we're like I seen a Metallica documentary one time, and I seen an amazing quote from a guy who was just a fan, and he went, "Every generation scores the next and their music." I think it's a fantastic quote. Like, and
That's
we're doing,
true.
and me, you, and Asmal are doing the old man thing of going
Yeah.
like.
I
do
mean,
the- do the younger
I'm
generation?
lucky.
Are they serious as also about music? They probably are. They're just doing it maybe a different way than we do.
Well, in my profession, I have all my students' numbers. So when I got a new album, new single out video, I just like bombard them and spam.
Yeah, but they don't
Hey, my
want.
new
They just
video.
don't want. They just don't want to be filled. That's why they're listening to your music. Oh, sir, send us more of his work.
No, I don't
like
think
it, like it.
No, they don't respond at all.
Oh no!
Spam only.
Nobody
Small ratio.
responds
Very small ratio.
these days to spam messages.
Yeah.
Very few.
Yes.
But-
You have to be like spamming 10,000 to get like 100 replies or something like that. But
True.
Do you remember
the
back
only
in-
way to get your music out there is just bomb. You're right, Asmail. Just bombard people because
Bombard.
eventually, like,
Do you remember back in the day?
there's too much for them. You're just spoiled for choice these days with any sort of music, you know.
We
And
had like,
it's-
we had like 100 flyers for a gig. And you
Yeah.
got 10 people to the gig. You were fucking happy.
You happy?
You're really
Yeah.
happy. But
And now everybody's like you said, lah. There's just too many shows to go to, and everybody's like, you know what? I'll just stay home, lah. I can listen to
Yeah.
everybody on Spotify, on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Why am I going to spend 100 ringgit to just be there, and
Yeah.
then spend another 50 ringgit to buy the album, and then,
Yeah.
man,
I mean, safe to say, everybody in this program today, we all have very specific music we like, and we know the history of
Yeah.
what we want to. So when you go to Spotify, you know who to look. But imagine you're like a 14-year-old kid, and you just got Spotify. Where
I
do you
think-
start, right?
That's the problem with Spotify. That's,
You let the robot decide for you. Terminator
yeah,
decides.
and your phone
playlist.
listens to you. Yeah, correct.
does anybody,
Just like just now.
does
sorry,
anybody remember,
continue.
does anybody remember Last FM?
Oh, last time, yeah.
You
Ah, yeah,
remember Last
yeah,
FM?
yeah. I
Still
do.
around now. Still around now.
Yeah, Last FM was great because Last FM, you typed in a band that you liked,
Yeah.
and then Last FM would give you a radio play of not just the band,
Yeah.
but that band's influences and bands who were like that band. So you would have a playlist then
Yeah.
of
That's like
similar
Spotify radio, lah.
music. Is it like Spotify radio? Is it a similar thing?
Yeah, so if you're like, any genre, any artist you pick, based on what you like, if you can go to an option next to that artist, and then you have the option of play radio for the artist, and it will play artists around
Oh,
that
okay.
genre. Or
Yeah.
I don't know if it goes down to lineage or what, but
No, it's like
around
it's
genre.
like when you on YouTube, it's the same thing, you know. When you
Yeah.
watch
Yeah.
YouTube a certain thing,
Right.
and then they start learning your algorithm, and they start pushing.
Oh,
your
no,
stuff.
that's
They use very polite words like suggestion. Like
Yes,
actually,
yes.
just
yeah, correct.
fucking Terminator.
It's not-
We're
it's not
living in
suggestion.
fucking Terminator. This
They
is
already know
Terminator
you're going
time,
to
man.
kick Yeah.
That's not suggesting. That's MK Ultra shit. Just fucking.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's new age MK Ultra. That's
It's
what
just
it is.
fucking making you convinced that this is what I want to watch and what I want to listen to.
Yeah.
So
That's just,
I'm not on Spotify. I don't. I
I
refuse.
hate
to use
I hate Spotify. Like I don't have it on my computer.
I
as well,
don't
like,
use.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
don't-
still
What I-
use
what I-
Spotify as well.
What,
It is highly convenient. Sorry, Joe, continue.
yeah, what I use. I mean, as a consumer of music, what I do is I go to certain labels that I like. I subscribe to the newsletter.
Yeah.
I go to Bandcamp pages. I subscribe to that to them. So my every day on my inbox will be all this like new releases and stuff. I go and check it out, If I like it, I put it on the aside. I have this folder, like, okay, this band is great, 5 per 5 or something like this. You know what I mean? So I
You
got
are
all that. You see?
you're a proper
So-
archivist.
Wow.
Yeah. There you go.
Man,
No,
That's-
there is this fear that I missed out a great band. You know what I mean?
There you go.
But
I-
that's
yeah.
that shows you actually are. That shows someone who actually loves and
Your
takes
soul.
seriously what you're doing. That's
I
not.
hear.
It's not transitory for you. It's very, very important for you. Like, which is great. Like,
It's
And
very,
you know-
very important.
and in a very good way, you're also supporting the music in a much better way than me or anybody
For any
else.
of us,
who's-
any of us here, like,
Bro, because Spotify is
I used
just
to do that.
Spotify and
I used to be
YouTube.
that
it's
serious
just-
about the music, but I don't think. I think when I started becoming a sound engineer, I stopped becoming a serious music listener for some weird reason, because I can't listen to. I stopped listening to music in a way, because for me then, as becoming a professional sound engineer, I had to just be open to everything. Like, I just couldn't just be, because listening to one genre would bias me to my mixes. My mixes would all sound certain ways. Like, I couldn't end up my mixes having sound all like death metal. Trying to do jazz, where a death metal mix would be a very bad idea. Like, so
There was one time, we did this comparison. I think it was for the lawyer thing. Your
Oh,
Maharaja
Radio
was-
Dharma Kartika. Yeah,
yes,
Radio Dharma
And
Kartika.
so me and Bullet were the one who like kind of producing it and everything. And there was one band who actually said, "Do you have the auto tune? Can we use the auto tune?" I said, "No,
oh my
we don't have
God.
auto tune."
Must have been a band of lawyers, right? A band of lawyers.
No,
probably. no.
No, it's not. I'm not gonna mention name though, but we were like, "So what the fuck, man?" I mean,
Auto-tune.
but
Come
of
on.
course, you, Derek, being a sound engineer, you can't do that. You
It's a
you
horrible,
have to go
it's,
along.
It's a horrible necessity. It's a horrible necessity. I am not a fan of it. I've never been a fan of it, but it is what it is. It's musicians expect it these days, so you have to do it. Like
Yeah.
not live. There's no way you use auto tune live. Like, well, some people use. There's a thing called auto tune live, but like I would never use it. But like studio, definitely you'd use various versions, either auto tune or Melodyne or whatever tuning aspect you would use it. But you just doesn't use. You don't even use it anymore for vocals. You use it for like all bass. Like the most I've used like tuning it aspects is for like bass guitar, like, because like it'll go out of tune and you just stroke it back into tune again. Like, doesn't matter how much you play it. Like, so like, yeah, it's horrendous. Like, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it. But it's a necessity, and you do it. So it's not great, but
Yeah.
what can you do?
Cari makan.
A Charlie Mac.
So Fabian, have you been using it?
Me?
Yeah, auto tune.
No. No.
He doesn't know if it's been used on his
Why
vocals or not. However,
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, it's just hideous, man. But I heard a few songs by some people in the US who use it in a different way that
No,
feels
they use it as an
nice.
effect. They use it, especially in the rap music. Rap musicians
Yeah.
use autotune as an effect because they can't sing. So it started off, and it was Cher. That fucking Cher song started that whole trend off. That
Cher?
There was a Cher song where Cher used autotune
Yeah.
in one small part as an effect.
Oh,
like a-
believe,
like a-
believe, is it?
Yeah.
Believe.
yeah. She used that as a effect. And
Wow.
literally from that 4-second part, all the rap musicians went, "Oh, well, we can't sing, so we can use that as that sort of effect," and that's how it delved into fucking hip hop and rap. From that. Cher
It
song.
was Cher, man. It was Cher, Cher was from
responsible
60s.
Cher
She
responsible.
showed the
Right.
new.
Sonny would
Yeah.
have beat the shit out of her. He would have beat the
Oh
shit.
man.
Okay, guys. So we have come up to the end of this fantastic.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'd like to thank Joe Kidd. So usually, Joe, for the
Thank
last,
you, guys.
the last
Thanks,
minute,
man. Thank you,
usually
thank
for
you.
the last minute, we usually give the guest open what's coming up in the future for you. What's your next 6 months looking like? So over to you. Go ahead.
I'm like I told you before, I'm working with Evelyn to. I'm helping her out with the Borneo Jazz Festival, which is supposed to be happening in June.
Cool.
So I'm doing the graphic. I'm doing a lot of shit behind the scene. As for my own thing, I'm writing new song for the band. We're going to record like four songs to have an EP out. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to go to Sabah to see my girlfriend, and that's it.
Shout out to Joe's girlfriend. Yeah.
We love that. Yeah. Joe.
Hopefully finishing off the book. No, Fabian, you
Yes.
don't get the
Yeah. I'm really,
Fabian, you don't
I'm
get
really.
asked a long question at the end of this.
It's not a question.
podcast.
It's not a long question.
You don't get to ask again.
Ah,
Fabian did the same thing last week. I go, I'm going to ask the question at the very end when we're about to run out of time. Guys, thank you.
I just wanted to ask Joe when he can find his stuff.
no, wait. Fabian. Ask Fabian,
Fabian.
quickly. Ask.
Just wanted to ask Joe where can people go and get his stuff? Like, you know, he's doing all these archives where if like people want to check out stuff.
I mean, we do have our physical space, which is in Zhongshan Building, just beside Tandang actually. But I'm rarely there now because I've been doing a lot of work at home. So I can't say once probably the COVID, But if somebody really want to see it, you can just contact me and I'll bring them there and hang out. Go have
Cool.
Ferry or something.
All
like
right.
that. Yeah.
Thank you very much
Yeah.
once again, Joe.
Cool.
Thank you for
Take
being
care,
on the
man.
podcast. I've been your
Take care,
host,
guys.
Rush. with Ben
Thanks, Joe. Nice
Fabian
meeting you,
Martin.
Joe.
Thanks, man.
As my leader, guys, we are out.
All right. Good night.
Take care, bye.
All right.